Hello and welcome again to the Writer Review. This is Eric Carrot Writer, and this week we're going to be taking a look back at the 2007 action thriller titled The Kingdom. Now, The Kingdom runs for 1 hour and 49 minutes long. It is directed by Peter Berg. It is produced by Michael Mann and Scott Stuber. The script was written by Matthew Michael Carnahan. The score was done by Danny Elfman, the cinematography by Mauro Fiore, and it was edited by Colby Parker Jr. and Kevin Stitt. And the stars of the movie are Jamie Foxx, Chris Cooper, Jennifer Garner, Jason Bateman, Ashraf Barhoum, Ali Souliman, Jeremy Piven, Richard Jenkins, Tim McGraw, Kyle Chandler, Francis Fisher, and Danny Huston. Now, you never know. I could probably end up getting copyright strikes for this review. Because let's face it, this review is a pretty serious issue. And so before the thought police come in and make the assumption that I'm Islamophobic or anything like that, rest assure you, I am anything but Islamophobic. When I try to review movies, I try to be as non-judgmental as possible to any character or characters or groups of individuals or people. And I try to be as unbiased and non-partisan. So if anybody is offended, don't. It's not worth my time. It's not worth yours. Okay, enough of that. So on with the discussion here. So located in the city of Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, a suicide bomber goes off in a Western housing compound. The result led to hundreds being killed and millions of dollars of property damage and civilians running in fear. Now, I just want to let you know, this was a different time period. Okay, this movie was made in 2007. So, even though this is a work of fiction, a lot of the events that took place in this movie have a sense of realism regarding knowing the time period this movie came out. This movie came out in 2007. So we have FBI agent Ronald Fleury, played by Jamie Foxx. He teams up with 3 other agents, played by Chris Cooper, Jennifer Garner, and Jason Bateman. And they go searching for these bombers, much to the chagrin of the Saudi authorities, who regard these activities as a local matter and to ascertain them in their homeland under their jurisdiction. Now, this operation is supposed to go off for maybe a couple of days at the most, but the Saudi authorities want to handle the situation on their own terms, on their own turf. So, this movie is not just action. It's not just, shoot 'em ups and something like that. There's also a lot of political thriller that also subjugates into the script. So, this is not just some dumb, mindless action flick. There is a lot of political commentary regarding, rules and regulations that these 3 Americans have on foreign land. Some people work and operate on different projectiles. and it just has to take them to either get adjusted or just simply call the mission off. The FBI were assisted by an Arabian colonel named Colonel Al-Ghazi, played by Ashraf Barhoum, who helps them through their 5-day mission as he guides them through the politics, unlocking secrets hidden within the confines of the crime scenes, and a cell that was led by extremists with their mindset on destruction. Okay? This is all post 9/11 stuff. I mean, this movie came out in 2007. You know, this was under the United States was under the leadership of a warmongering opportunist like George W. Bush. So, like I said, this is a pretty heavy-handed subject, even though it's played out as an action film with some political identity and some friction that was still going on between the United States and the Middle East. So, you know, this is a subject matter that needs to be handled delicately and sensitively. But also, we just can't ignore the facts that the friction between the United States and the Middle East during the war in Afghanistan, we can't ignore the fact that these events happened. As much as people like to try to forget and move forward, yes, we can't change the past, but we still can't forget the past. The tensions raised within the political media in the 1990s to the 2000s between the United States and the Middle East can easily be summed up in the 2007 movie The Kingdom. From the Iran hostage crisis to the oil wars, from 9/11 to Osama bin Laden, all the newsworthy elements come to life here with high-octave action to keep the action fans satisfied. But like I said, it's more than just some mindless action junkie movie. There is a lot of intelligence, and there's also a lot of realism depicted in this movie. And although the action scenes are actually very limited, it's still very high in intensity, and it is still enough to get the action junkies their fill of the day. The Kingdom brings the evils of religion-based terrorism to life, and the action scenes are not just used as filler, they truly serve a purpose and are definitely not there for reaction. Now, I support this kind of cause just as long as it sticks to the plot without falling victim to the usage of overblown propaganda. If this was some kind of propaganda vehicle to encourage people to join the military and fight for what's right, and to make this into a big commercial syndicate, well, then I would not have wasted my fucking time watching this movie. So, I'm just glad it didn't. Or maybe I would have watched the movie, and I probably would have ended up giving this movie a rant instead of a rave. I'm giving a lot of praise to this movie. This movie definitely succeeds by not making this into a propaganda manifesto. It's still abiding to the carnal and primitive response that in search of your enemies, take them down or die trying. It is definitely well known that the kingdom does indeed take itself very seriously due to the subject matter and due to the sensitivity that this content is placed in front of them. And it seems very clear in what its intentions are. It also pays that the action scenes are top priority and not overly dependent on dialogue. We have an equal balance of dialogue, but also at the same time we have just as much equally proportionate action scenes to go along. That is not, and neither of them are ever regarded as filler. The violence demonstrated here is something that you would expect from a news story with an impact that's as visceral as it comes. The politics displayed here are woven as the FBI sends Special Agent Fleury and his team to track down the bombers by working with the Saudis, and they definitely do seem to take their roles professionally. Sure, there's some dramatic license in there, but then again, hey, I might sound like a broken record here, but just a reminder, this is a movie, it's not a documentary. The conflicts come from not only taking down these terrorists, while at the same time dealing with the structuring of the government in that country and how they're either responsible or irresponsible for the actions involving, extreme terrorism. And how they take their approaches contrary to one another. There is no hostilities. There's no one saying this person's right and this person's wrong, or this person's right and that person's wrong. No. They're definitely being nonpartisan, non-biased in their meanings. Depending on which side you choose, we leave it all out in the open for people to decide and to judge for themselves. You might be on the one side of the fence and your friend might be on the opposing. But if you could get them to talk together and see what these guys can come up with and come up with reasonable explanations, there should be no need for any hostile environment. The pressures within Fleury's squad adds more to the dramatic tensions, making each and every character believable, even though they are fearless. They know that this mission could cost them their lives. When it comes to performance-wise, definitely Jamie Foxx provides his familiar, authoritative figure to the screen, and he lights up every scene that he's in. In some ways, he's very similar to his character in the 2004 movie Collateral with Tom Cruise. His acting is just as effective there than in that movie. And he plays it off very well here. The only time his confident character meanders is when he's confronted with his son. I don't think there was really a place in the whole, family squabblings in this movie. This is supposed to be a combat mission investigative operation. Please leave the family issues off camera. Thank you very much. We didn't need that father-son hostilities that was going on in there. It could have just been easily edited out. Yes, we understand that Jamie Foxx, that Fleury and his crew have families. They have issues. There's going to be some conflict within families, family and friends issues within this group. We understand, but I just didn't find there was any place for that in this movie. But the personal tensions are much needed knowing the grave dangers each of these squad members are up against. The more conflicted they are, the more the characters begin to evolve, especially when they nurture a little Saudi boy. The rest of the cast, of course, they do exceptionally well, and the fight scenes and violence add a great service, and it's not for shock value as to what's the purpose of the plot, and in addition to that, it has a great level of authenticity that relates to what the FBI agents are up against in those troubling times to create an atmosphere that doesn't hide anything from the audience, and it's let alone not afraid to release the violence of the situation that they are up against. Under the direction of Peter Berg, the action scenes remain raw and focused, but the camera work has more controlled as it falls victim to the handheld shaky cam that has been a distraction. A lot of movies within the 2000s seem to often have scenes with that annoying shaky cam thing that goes around. It's very distracting, and it can at times be quite irritating. With only that small minor quibble, I would have to say The Kingdom succeeds in as a provocative action thriller that doesn't insult your intelligence, and it holds strong with amazing performances by the cast. It's actually great to see an action film that succeeds in keeping it real. So I really, truly, highly recommend this movie. The little flaws, it's not like overly distraction, and I'm glad it doesn't take over the rest, the investigative mission that's both deadly and very, very intense. So a great service to this movie for keeping it real, not insulting the viewer's intelligence, and keeping every scene interesting and exciting. If you're a fan of that kind of movie, of course, can't speak for everyone. Everybody has different tastes, all respected by me. And like I said, if I was to give a score out of 10, I would give The Kingdom an 8. I highly recommend you guys to see this movie. A little bit flawed here and there, but nothing too gratuitous. Maybe 8.5. That would be a little bit more sufficient. Yes, 8.5. Final offer. So I guess this ends my writer review. Thank you all for listening in. If you wish to subscribe to my YouTube channel, please feel free to do so. Please don't be offended by what I said, even though I don't think I said anything offensive, but knowing these days that everybody gets triggered, just a word of warning. Lighten up a little bit. I didn't say anything bad about anybody or anyone. But if you wish to subscribe to my channel, please feel free to do so. If you wish to leave a comment, go right ahead. Just remember the 3 simple rules. Maybe I'll make a 4th one. Be kind, be courteous, don't be triggered, and please refrain from any rude comments. And I will be back again with another movie review. So until next time, this is Eric Writer saying keep watching those movies, and I'll see you around. Goodbye.